The Clemson Tigers have loaded up for a college football playoff run in 2025, and while Cade Klubnik is the face of the program as a projected first-round quarterback, it will likely be the defense that helps carry them to a deep CFP run, and that unit is led by a dominant defensive end in TJ Parker. A second-team All-ACC selection in 2024, Parker had the third most sacks among returning FBS players this past season and has a chance to take an even bigger step forward this year with the talent around him. Along with the return of another top-tier prospect in defensive lineman Peter Woods, the Tigers also added their first defensive transfer in program history by adding former Purdue standout Will Helt, who had 5 sacks for the Boilermakers in 2024. All of this is shaping up for a breakout year from Parker, who could contend for the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Let's dive into the stats and the film on Parker to see what makes him a potential number 1 overall pick as a standout edge in this college episode of Best Available. Thank you for watching Best Available. Make sure that you are subscribed to YouTube and follow us on socials at Best Available YT. We've got plenty of good stuff coming with football in full swing, including early next week, a breakdown on exciting Patriots rookie running back Travion Henderson, who is already taking the league by storm in the preseason. Plenty more to come, but sit back, relax, and enjoy this breakdown of TJ Parker. The hype for Parker as a potential top NFL draft pick has been there since he was in high school. A consensus 4-star recruit and a top 50 recruit by 24/7 Sports, Parker helped lead Central High School in Alabama to a 7A state title as a sophomore in 2021 before becoming an All-American as a senior. After originally committing to Penn State, Parker flipped his commitment and decided to go to Clemson, where he earned immediate playing time as a true freshman in 2023. It didn't take long for Parker to have an instant impact on that Tigers defense with 5.5 sacks and 13 tackles for loss as a true freshman. Those numbers skyrocketed in 2024, with Parker earning second-team All-ACC honors thanks to 11 sacks and 20 tackles for loss. Pretty much all of Parker's numbers went up last season, but the most notable one has got to be the forced fumbles. After having 0 as a true freshman, that number skyrocketed up to 5 forced fumbles in 2024. And it was clear just on watching the film that every time he's going after the quarterback, there's a clear emphasis on trying to go after that ball. After diving into the stats, watching the film of a few games, I am absolutely floored by Parker. Normally, when you're thinking of a top-tier prospect at the edge position, you're thinking of a true speed rusher who's an athletic freak. The first name that comes to mind is Abdul Carter, because obviously he just moved different at his size for Penn State, but Parker is a completely different type of animal. We're talking about a 6'3", 265-pound edge rusher who plays with tremendous amounts of strength and power, but there's also this uncanny technique to his game that really allows him to unlock this part of his game. And I can honestly see why he's considered a number 1 pick. So why don't we dive into film? I want to highlight a game on the national stage in the ACC championship against SMU where this poor left tackle, man, why don't we go ahead and just dive into it? We've watched some really fun prospects for the 2026 NFL Draft in this series already, but man, I am just obsessed with the way Parker plays football. Granted, I tend to have a soft spot for, edge-setting power rushers at the position, but I'm not sure I've watched someone in quite some time that brings the skill set Parker brings to this. And, just a heads up, he's not the flashiest, bendiest, most athletic. He's certainly an athlete, but he's not a traditional edge rusher when you're thinking of these top guys. But man, for a guy that was a true sophomore last year, and we got him circled right here, talk about pure technique. Just watch this hand usage and fighting that he's able to get disengaged and strip sack this. We can rewind that, but the ability to disengage is going to show up time and time and time again. It's that handwork to, rip under, attack at the hands and the wrists to swipe away. It's clear throughout this film that Parker is just a stronger player than his matchup, and he wants to keep reminding this left tackle the entire game. We're playing 2 different sports, basically. So watch the hand usage, the strength it requires to grab these wrists and disengage and then work a move. Again, we are talking about a 20-year-old, true sophomore, This is rare stuff right here. You can see he grabs that wrist and just kind of rips under. And it's such a quick move. The tackle's not ready for it. And then what I love is time and time again on his film throughout the season is that emphasis on attacking the football. And we'll watch it again one last time in full. Just disengage, rip, get around, run the hoop, attack the ball. You're going to notice that a lot. He attacks the football as much as possible on sacks. This is just one of his many forced fumbles throughout the season. Got him again here on the left side. He's pretty much going to be lined up against this left tackle the whole game, and I don't blame them because he kicked this guy's ass. That's the simplest way I can put it this whole game. We're going to note hand usage again here. One thing I'd like to see a bit more consistently from Parker is converting speed to power on his bull rush. He's so focused on his hand usage, which is so impressive. There are times where I feel like he's almost sacrificing his pure power because we'll see later in this film, he is tremendously strong at the point of attack. And when he can tie everything together while working those hands, I think that's where he takes an even bigger step forward. So we're going to see the hand usage again here. He's hand fighting. Look at how he's able to get these hands just down on the tackle. Anytime this guy tried to punch, Parker was just getting into the guy's chest because he's swiping away those arms, getting into his chest. This is decent. I'd like him to lean almost farther in and get extended with his hands and get those arms all the way extended. If he can match that and tie that into a punch with his bull rush, that's where we're going to see this be even more effective because by being a bit slow on that, it allows the tackle to anchor down. I hope that makes sense. We can watch it one more time for you guys. It's just an example of if you can tie this all together in one fluid motion, it becomes so much more deadly. I hope what I explained makes sense. Does good hand usage, just get extended right there, and I think you can really collapse that pocket. Something I'm always watching in younger football players is how disciplined are you when you're unblocked? I've coached some kids that, when they see this tackle go down, their instinct is just go after the running back or the quarterback, get too deep downfield, and it allows stuff to come behind and opens up this gap right here. Because if you're vacating and then this guy's going in, look at that natural rushing lane we have here, right? So what I love here is Parker's ability to stay disciplined, right? He is unblocked. He is keeping his eyes on the football. Maybe you could argue that his shoulders need to be a little bit more squared, but he's not flying upfield, right? By staying disciplined here, he recognizes the jet sweep. This guy has nowhere to go. We'll show that again one more time. Not too much to go over here, but I do just love the discipline by Parker. Recognizing he's unblocked, which means something's probably coming his way. They're trying to get him out of position, but he stays square and, cleans this up. And again, we're talking about a young football player. I love the instincts and discipline here. Now let's watch some of Parker against the run. I think this is where, it's a big frustration of mine when doing draft evaluations is we'll talk about all these edge prospects and rarely do you ever hear someone talk about their run defense. It's why I was frankly not a big James Pierce guy. I think he was quite frankly bad, like straight up bad against the run. Parker as a power rusher is straight up very, very, very good at engaging blocks, having the play strength to anchor down and then disengage. So we have him here split between the guard and the tackle and just watch how he takes on this block and gets disengaged. You can see here, this is pretty good, right? Wide base, he's attacking with his hands. Look at how far he's extended and pushes this tackle back. Everyone else is trying to climb forward. This tackle is in the backfield right now. That is good hands above the eyes. That's good forward lean. He's using his strength. And then by the time the running back's there, he is right in the lap and just there's nowhere to go. And if you watch this in full speed, you're just going to see how far he drives this tackle back. Just watch the power and full speed of that guy just getting crunched backwards, has no chance of competing. Again, we keep talking about it. This tackle and Parker were playing two different sports in this game. All right, let's get a look at that bull rush again. I still think that this is somewhere where he can really improve and be even scarier in 2025, and I believe he'll get there. He's currently, again, 20 years old. There's still, I feel like we're just scratching the surface of what Parker can become. But man, when stuff comes together on the bull rush, and ability to get disengaged, just look how easily he's able to get through this guy. Lean forward, get disengaged, get a clean shot at that guy's chest, drive through him. And then, his landmark, this tackle's landmark's completely messed up by the time this ball's out, right? He's gotten pushed around so much. Usually that tackle's trying to like steer. Usually this tackle, if they're getting beat, wants to steer the edge around, right? Around the pocket. So get inside of him if he's losing that battle and just steer around. Instead, what's happening here, he's getting bullied so much that he's losing all of this depth, and it just allows, because the edge is in control or Parker's in control, it just allows him to cut back inside. It's just another example of Barker consistently bullying this guy. I'm so sorry to pick on him too. Don't know his name. I didn't want to know his name because I didn't want to call him out by name. I felt horrible because Parker just abused the guy. If you were a college football team, don't put a tight end on Parker. Bad things are going to happen. This guy's going to try and take on Parker right here, and it's just not going to go well. We can play it. You just have no chance of doing anything to control Parker here. I'm not sure what the plan is on this play either. Is he trying to seal Parker, kind of like get him here and like, hold him down this way so the running back can get around? Is he trying to kick him out and create a rush lane this way? Whatever the plan was, it just did not go well. Not my favorite play by SMU. Just a lesson for offensive coordinators. Don't put a tight end on Parker. A lot of these pass rush reps are going to look the same, and it's just because I keep highlighting, I'm so fascinated by this unique combination of hand uses to disengage and then power. I just don't see it a lot from younger players, even like these big edge setters. Like I keep thinking of, when I think of big power rushers, I keep thinking of Lucas Van Ness, who the Packers took in the first round. He did not have this kind of arsenal at his disposal as a power rusher. And just another, I just love the way, look, he's already, his first move, as soon as that punch, he's already at the wrists. He's already grabbing there. He's just bodying the tackle. And, maybe if he has some better bend, which we'll get to at the end of this video, he can complete this. But just watching the way he attacks and just gets by this guy and gets him completely off balance. Again, tighter bend, he's probably making a sack. But there's also the caveat, Kevin Jennings is, quite an athletic, mobile quarterback. It's going to be hard for most edges to get him down, especially when he feels that pressure coming. But just that power to get this tackle off balance, it's truly, again, I'm obsessed with it because I just don't see it a lot in edge prospects. It's such a fun watch, and it makes me even more excited for when things even take another step forward next season. You want to talk about a violent finisher too. Parker definitely fits that mold. This is a guy that really wants to, finish plays with violence, and that's what you want from a guy that his, superstar trait is power. And we see him on that edge. He's getting by, and just the way he finishes, poor Kevin Jennings. We'll watch it again, and then I'll show you the end zone cam, but poor Kevin Jennings just gets obliterated here. Just that kind of strength, power, size on a poor quarterback like this. Not how you want to, be playing the game as a quarterback, especially an undersized one. Just gets absolutely demolished. It's the competitiveness of Parker, like a close game, ACC championship. How are you going to play? The ball is out, but he's in his process. Like, some refs might give you a roughing call for that, but I just think that's a hell of an effort to finish the play. One last play before we move to some areas of improvement or just, deficiencies in his game. Because again, he is a very specific type of edge rusher, but just another example of this poor left tackle. Clear hold. I can't believe they didn't call it. But just the way that he gets around this, he just has a move at his disposal at all times. And when he's putting everything together like this, hand usage and power, and just knowing what the tackle is trying to do to him, just it's so effortless of disengaging. Like this tackle's grip strength could not compete with Parker, and it just showed all game. And let me show you the sideline angle of the same play. And just I want you to watch the reaction of the left tackle here once the play is over. I've never seen a guy look this mentally defeated, just on his knees, just like, I don't know what to do against this guy. The body language from him, I don't know if he's banged up or what, but like, this is near the end of the game, and Parker's been dominating him the entire time. It's truly like, I can't remember a tape of game where I've watched a player look so defeated by getting his ass kicked all day. It's what made me love Parker. That being said, let's get into a couple of the things where I'd like to see him improve, or just areas, that he might not have that could prevent him from being a number one pick. I don't think there's anything that's going to stop him from being a first rounder, though. This first trait to me is super fixable from coaching. It's just something you got to get comfortable with for an edge, and that's tying your hips with your hands. And when I say that, one of the great ways to, have power at the point of attack is launching yourself through your hips into that contact. And if you can time that with your hands, that's where power happens. Power doesn't happen by just placing your hands on a guy and then trying to move your feet, right? But if you can time your hips with your hands and strike, that's where we can see real power. And especially for a player of Parker's caliber, I want to see him do this more often, because instead right here, you can see it's a run. He's just putting his hands on the guy, and I don't think that's effective enough, because then he's not able to create any force to drive the blocker back. And we saw a play where he was capable of doing that earlier in the game, but that was more from an interior alignment, right? When he's playing from the edge, I want to see more consistency of tying those hips and hands together instead of what we see here, which is him just placing his hands on the guy. Launching those hips can really set the edge, constrict rushing lanes, makes you an even more valuable player. And to me, this is an easily fixable thing that can make him even more deadly. This is a discipline thing. I think he is a disciplined player overall, but you got to know when you're facing more mobile quarterbacks that you got to keep this outside contain on rush. If you go inside, especially in a man coverage look or something, it just so easily allows the quarterback to roll out and escape. So you got to be careful about freelancing as a pass rusher, no matter how talented you are. Like, he wants to cut in. It's just Jennings is so elusive. It's not a huge gain, but it's something to keep an eye on. The awareness of, where your help is and when you need to be cutting inside and when you're not. This last rep is something I'm a little more worried. I don't know if he can fix. Not that I think he needs to, but if he wants to be like all pro right out the gate level edge rusher, you want that bend to tighten your path to the quarterback. And frankly, I just don't know if Parker has the bend and ankle flexibility to be that kind of player. I just don't think that's his play style. And hey, that's okay. If you lean into your strengths and understand what you can't do, you can still be, at the absolute upside, an all Pro Bowl, star player. But this is a deficiency, and it could worry some teams that maybe he's a one-trick pony. I personally don't feel that way. I think there's a ton of value in what he can bring. But it's just that ability to not tighten these angles, struggle to round this off, because, he wins around the edge right here, right? If he's more flexible and has more of a bend around it, he can pretty easily get to the quarterback. But his line keeps staying flat. It's not, let me draw it out here. His line's staying flat instead of bending, right? It's not the best diagram I have of it, but I think you can see from this play, if you watch enough football, the Von Miller types are these guys that can dip and bend around the edge, that just are freaky at it. And I just don't think that's part of Parker's game. I think he can get around with enough explosiveness. I just don't know if he can stay low enough and flexible enough to really bend that edge on speed rushes. Again, I'm not sure that's a fixable thing, but something I wanted to point out at the end of this video is maybe he's not going to get there as a pure speed rusher, but man, from everything else we saw in this game, we can see why he's getting all this buzz as a potential first-round pick. And that's going to do it on TJ Parker. Again, I absolutely love these types of prospects. And of the, how many have we watched? 4 or 5 in this series so far. I think Parker's my favorite. I think I would still put Caleb Downs as my number 1 player, just because I think his combination of instincts, athleticism, leadership, the way he tackles, all of that, like special safety player. But man, from a positional value standpoint, and the play style he brings that just not a lot of players at his position bring, I think he has a real shot to be the number 1 overall pick. So what do you think of TJ Parker? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Again, we'll be back later this week with a piece on Travion Henderson. Sorry, that'll be early next week. And who do you want me to watch in the 2026 NFL draft as far as these prospects? We're getting to the point where these top tier players are starting to thin out. And I want to watch some more different positions, different players. So let me know who you might need to do a breakdown on next week. I'll listen to some comments and we'll go from there. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week on Best Available.